this is the risk you face if you're in an area where the public have access, right to roam, and particularly if you're using it in the dark and you can't see.
So you've got to know the ground that you're operating on.
Yes.
So both of these weapons can be used on foxes legally. How are you going to assess the suffering that they may cause?
The big difficulty when you're trying to look at wounding involved in shooting is that the animal runs away. So basically, when you fire a shot with a gun, three things can happen. Either the animal will drop dead, and so you know it's dead, or it will run away. And of the animals that run away, it could be completely missed, or it could be wounded. And you have no way of knowing for sure whether it's wounded or not. So the first thing we're doing is we are gathering data from real fox shoots. And we cannot get hold of live foxes and start shooting them. I don't think anyone would be very pleased if we tried that. So we have to use target foxes. And we need to have a lot of them. We need to have them behaving in a very similar way to a real fox. We need to use the same ranges, the same guns, the same ammunition, and the same people that are used in normal fox shooting. And we need to fire enough shots at enough artificial foxes to get our scientific sample sizes. So our first difficulty was to prepare a proper, anatomically correct fox target.
How did you get that?
Well, let me show you, Jim. Now, first of all, we obtained a vixen of 5 kilograms. This is a real fox. We then froze her in a running position and we split her along the midline, and with all the organs frozen, by putting clear acetate over it, we can trace exactly the position of the skull, the brain, the spinal cord, all the internal organs, and by doing further dissections of the limbs, for example, we can trace where the shoulder blade is, the pelvis, and so on. And this means that we can produce a target like this, which is exactly life size, and where we can see the skin line, the vertebrae, the ribs, shoulder blade, the heart, diaphragm, liver, and so on. And that means when our target fox is fired at, we can see the exact placement of each pellet on the target.
That will tell you the spread of the shot, but how do you know how deep the shot may have gone?
This is a difficult question. The only way we can do that is to obtain dead foxes which people have shot, and we ask them to record what shot size and what range they have shot them at. We also obtained dead foxes that had been snared or headshot. We suspended them in the same position as the target, and we shot them from one side in the same regimes as in the target trials. The pathologist dissected all these carcasses to determine the effects of pellets on the internal organs. We also measured shot penetration comparatively by shooting at layers of standardized card. By counting the minimum and maximum numbers of cards penetrated, we can get a good index of each of the regimes we tested. The results from these penetration tests were entered into the database and are given in the written report. By combining all this information, the pathologist scored the targets as either killed, heavily wounded, lightly wounded or missed.
And what do you do with the targets? Presumably the fox is moving in real life. How do you simulate that?
Well, we put the fox target onto a moving sledge, and we have one going from left to right and the other going from right to left. It's going the speed of a fast trotting fox, not really fast but quite fast, in a typical situation which the shooter normally faces. Shotgun trials were run in daylight and on moving fox targets. Okay. We fired 1,283 shots with 170 different shooters using the different regimes. Jim, can I introduce you to Robert Bucknell? He's an expert on shooting foxes and is the author of a modern book, a technical book, on fox control with firearms.
Robert, why did you write such a book?
I've been interested in carrying out fox control for a good many years, and I thought that perhaps the time had come, as the debate was getting more polarised, to write a book that not only was a technical manual for those that are interested, but an overview on what is becoming a sport.
What rifles are legal and suitable for fox control?
Any rifle is legal, that's no problem there as far as the law is concerned. They're not covered, there's nothing specific. But of course, if you're going to do the job properly, you're going to try and take out something that will kill the fox as rapidly as it possibly can do so. You've seen the 2.2 earlier on, small cartridge used for rabbits, brilliant for that, very cheap, 3.5 pence a round. Farmers use them a lot to cut down vermin. This is a semi-automatic gun. Takes a magazine of 10 rounds. Each time you pull the trigger, it operates, so it's very good for rapid shooting of small vermin. People that go on to fox control as a job or as a sport go up to the 2.2 centerfires, which are a much bigger cartridge. These have a real clout to them, and the bullet expands much better when it hits something and transfers a lot of energy into it that knocks the animal down much quicker and more efficiently than this little cartridge.
And what's the difference between a high velocity rifle and a subsonic rifle?
Now that's where the 2.2 does come in, because with a subsonic round, which is travelling below 1,000 feet a second, it doesn't have a supersonic crack travelling through the air, and so dealing with small vermin, you can sneak up on them and keep shooting them. They don't realise what is happening. As soon as you go to a high velocity gun, which is travelling at perhaps 3,500 feet a second, a lot faster, supersonic crack going through the air, so there's a lot more disturbance to the surrounding wildlife and to people standing around, but a lot more efficient. The centerfires that are used these days start off usually with the 222 and the 223, and mostly go up to 243. Most of the rifles in use, or many of the rifles, are now equipped with heavy barrels, good telescopic sights and sound moderators. Although they don't moderate the crack from the bullet, they take out the bang from the discharge, and so it's a lot more pleasant to use for those standing around. It doesn't hurt their ears, and again it doesn't disturb the quarry if you've got a number out there.
But you can use both of these types of rifle on foxes.
Oh, absolutely. It's down to the person in the right place and the right time. This little 2.2 would be very effective out to 60 or 70 yards, again down to the skill of the operator, whereas a centerfire works extremely well at 100 yards and will still kill a fox very well out to 300.
How do you get closer to the fox, or how do you get the fox closer to you?
Yes, either you walk out or drive out and go after the fox, or you try and call the fox in. One of the methods that's used is to imitate the distress cry of a potential victim, like a rabbit or a hare. The fox will come towards you, present you hopefully with a frontal shot as it's coming in, or perhaps a turning shot as it's questioning to see what the noises come from. Presents a small target, but also maximum wounding area because the rest of the fox is behind it.
I notice you've got reflective eyes on this fox target. What are they for?
Well, much of the hunting is taking place at night because that's when the fox is out. As we're using a lamp, the fox's eyes return the shine from that lamp, and so it's used as a marker to pick up the fox and see where it is. Of course, you shouldn't just shoot at the eyes because from the safety point of view you don't know what is behind the eyes.
Essex is an arable country. There aren't many sheep around. Why is the fox a pest here?
Absolutely right, there's very few livestock in Essex. But what there are, as we get the consumer wanting free-range animals, I find more and more inquiries from people with free-range chickens or pigs. A chap contacted me last week and he was losing 15 piglets a week. Well, of course, with game, it's another terrific part of the economy in this area from sport, and there are now commercial shoots, and to them, a fox taking a pheasant that may be worth £20 is a big reason for going out there and culling them as hard as they can.
Do you have a fox hunt in this area?
Yes.
What would the attitude be if fox hunting was to be banned?
Well, I'm sure the sporting element would start to go as far as that's concerned, and foxes would suffer. There would be a lot more killed because there'd be no reason for keeping them on the ground.
Do you think fox numbers would go up or down?
I think they would go down.
Of, say, 100 foxes shot with a rifle, how many would be shot dead?
Experienced shotter mostly deals with 30 foxes, but we have a miss or perhaps wounds one. So 3 foxes, say.
And what happens to the ones that get away?
Very often they're a complete miss because the fox moves or something happens so that the operator knows that it has gone away unwounded. But there is an occasional shot where a fox is not found and has gone away obviously hit. And what happens to it later we don't know. It's most probably dies within a week.
How would you raise the level of the inexperienced shooter to that of the competent shooter?
Hopefully they will take up range practice and test and adjust and keep shooting until their level of competence, they're happy with it before they go out and shoot live quarry.
So anyone can go out and buy a rifle and shoot foxes with it?
In theory, yes, but you need permission from the police with a firearms certificate. You need permission from a landowner who will look at you very hard, and it helps if you're sane.
How many man-hours would there be for every fox killed?
Depending on the density of foxes, but maybe 3 hours up to 7 or 8.
And who pays for that?
It's either somebody's on their own land and doing their own work. There's a gamekeeper who is being remunerated for looking after the area and culling the vermin there. Or in a lot of cases it's sport shooting, where somebody is enthusiastic and offers their services usually for free.
Robert, you've been kind enough to run some rifle shooting trials for the Middleway Group on your land. How much do you think they relate to reality in the field?
Quite a lot. I was talking to the shooters that took part and they found it a very interesting exercise. They're normally target shoot, but to be able to shoot at a fox target showing the layout of the inside, they found very valuable.
I noticed there seemed to be quite a difference between the shots that were taken unsupported and supported, the rifle supported. Have you any thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. This is something that you notice as it always happens, and it means that most people take care of trying to shoot from a supported position. And many of the professionals go out and they change their vehicles to put frames and various mounts on so that they can rest the rifle before taking a shot.
Rifle trials were done both by day and by night on static targets only. We fired 885 rifle shots in the different regimes with 29 different rifle shooters. All the trials together entailed 2,168 shots with about 200 different shooters in England, Scotland and Wales, and we delivered all the targets to the pathologists for analysis. Rifles are capable of producing good results, but how desirable is it for more guns to be in circulation? Although legal gun owners adhere to strict controls, gun crime in cities is an increasing worry. Snaring and shooting inevitably entail long hours of suffering for some of the foxes. The only way to ensure a quick death without the risk of wounding is to use dogs alone. They will either kill it or it will escape unharmed. One way to reduce wounding is to quickly fire a second shot. But even second shots may fail to kill.
Try and shoot there. Moving too far.
Even from short range, multiple shots may not kill the fox. This fox is badly wounded, but still manages to get away.
He's had some. He's had plenty.
The only hope then is to call the hounds and hope that they can catch it and put it out of its misery. Of course, where hounds are used alone, the problem of wounding doesn't arise. If foxes are to be shot at, then the use of suitable dogs can do much to prevent further suffering. If the wounded fox gets down a hole, the only way to locate it is using a terrier. It can mark the fox, and the men can locate it by the transmitter on its collar. Then the men can dig down to shoot the fox. The Middle Way group believe that terrier work should only be done by licensed persons under strict controls. The scoring was done independently by the International Zoo Veterinary Group and by Dr. Douglas Wise from the Department of Clinical Veterinary Medicine at the University of Cambridge. Now obviously we can't show all the results in the film, they're in the report, but we can point out some trends. The most noticeable is the considerable variation. You can see this both in the target trials and with the gun packs. One gun pack, for example, had a kill rate of 20%, whereas another gun pack had a kill rate of 79%.